start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address. Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two?
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
My co-pilot, the Amy Eiler. Good to have you, AI.
You have better co-pilots than this right now. More important ones.
Today, we're going to have Rick Becker on. Rick is running against John Hoven in the primary. He's smart enough to say, you know what, if I do this, I'm going to do it in the primary, which means it won't be at the Republican convention, which is kind of becoming the norm. So Rick Becker is going to run against John Hoven for the Republican spot on the ballot in the fall. If you don't think that's not going to be interesting, then you don't have a pulse of it, because it's going to get a little wild. Rick's going to join us a little bit later in the show. Also, great news, quite frankly, out of Bismarck area. Britta Curl went and played at the University of Wisconsin, one of the greatest hockey players that we're ever going to see come out of this region, and she just got the word to get her butt over to China. That's right. She's going to join the U.S. Olympic team. They had an injury, and she was the last one cut off the team when many of us were shaking our head going, what did you do that for in the first place? But now she's on her way to China. And, of course, Tom Hoagie. Yeah, that's right. He wins it all at Pebble, and now he gets 2-year exemption, from even having to worry about whether he's on the tour or playing in any tournament, and he gets to go compete for the green jacket. So big win. Big win, and it's nice to see a Fargo South grad do just that. But in the house right now, we've got Sergeant Jesse Graybolt from the Minnesota State Patrol. Sarge, good to see you.
Good morning. It's good
there you go. Hold on. This is Amy's test. Good to see you.
A little quick there.
Yeah.
What's going on? It's my first day. I've never done this before. So I thought you were at the other microphone. I'm not paying attention to you. So sorry.
Oh, I am. I just, Captain Brian Newind is here as well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
You are
see?
Derek.
Well, see you later, guys.
Are you going to dock a day's pay for her today? Or?
I'm just scared
If
she's going to walk
that's the case,
out.
I'm out. I'm good.
How you been, Brian?
I've been well. How are you?
Good to see you. So I'm going to throw this one at you first. It might be my advanced age, but is this winter getting harder to drive on? I mean, it just seems like it's worse than what it normally is, Captain.
We were spoiled last winter, I think. So we don't really have much to go off of based off of last winter. But I think this is kind of a normal winter. But it seems like the days we've had here, whether it's warm or it's cold, we have bad conditions someplace within our region here. And people just need to be aware it's winter. So the conditions are going to change. You need to be prepared for that when you're driving.
Well, you're on the front line as much as anybody, Sarge. And when I think about it, of course, we've all got increased speeds. We know that. And, but it just seems to me like I'm seeing more rigs in the ditch, too.
Well, echoing off what the captain said, it's not just the big blizzards that are hitting us. It's the days where, you get the quick warm-ups or where the temperature drops quick, too. It really changes the conditions with the different, blowing ice, the ground drifting, the ground blizzards, so to speak, and maybe just some of that field track ice. It does make it difficult out there. We're still seeing so many people that keep that cruise control on yet in those conditions when they really should.
I saw a highway patrolman on the way to Fargo yesterday that was out there in that heavy duty wind, and I kept thinking about, okay, he pulled over somebody either to help them or because they deserved getting pulled over. But either way, he's out there on that stretch of blacktop between Hickson and Davenport exit, which is dangerous stretch anyway. And he's really in harm's way. I mean, he really is.
And that's something we do every day. And I think in the back of our minds, we're not thinking about that because it's something that we're used to. But it's interesting when you're out there with people and you're sitting there and your cars go blowing by you and they're like, how do you do this every day, right? And it's just something I think you kind of get maybe numb to or used to. But we're out there to assist people on the roadsides. We have to do that. We'll be out there with our lights on if we're out there making traffic stops. The thing is, anytime you see a patrol car, any emergency vehicle on the side of the road, don't speed up to it. Slow down when you see those lights and figure out which lane you need to move over into. We have the move over law, whether it's Minnesota or North Dakota. Make sure you're moving over and you're slowing down as you pass those emergency vehicles.
How much coordination goes between the Minnesota State Patrol and the guys out there trying to get the snow off the roads?
Quite a bit. I mean, we'll let them know where we got some areas that's a little problematic, where we got more slip and slide, or just some things that we'll maybe see ahead of time. So, yeah, there's a lot of talk on the radio or cell phone or whatever we got to do there.
So you have a situation that was as tragic as what happened by Castleton, that accident where, people start questioning, whether you should be in this lane or that lane. I mean, how do you get around that? If I'll give you an example. If I hit the ditch and Sue comes out with a chain or a tow rope to get me out, I mean, there's got to be a process to have it so that you guys would know to come put on the lights or something to keep people away from me.
Yeah, anytime you go in the ditch, you're stuck out there, you're stranded, you broke down. It doesn't matter where you're at out on our roadways. If you need some assistance, call 911. We will come and assist you. So we do not normally allow people to personally tow a vehicle out of the ditch. So you're not going to be able to use a tow strap or chains if you've got a loved one in the ditch. We're going to require a wrecker out there. They've got emergency lights. They're going to call us to come assist them with traffic control because it's not safe for people to be out there towing vehicles with just personal vehicles. So
is that the policy in Minnesota too?
It's just because, you get somebody that's trying to pull that vehicle out and they're hitting it and jerking and all of a sudden they're going into that other lane of traffic. I mean, it gets problematic. So having that tow operator that's got the winch on a nice steady system, it's a lot safer for everybody.
Might be the cheapest couple of $100 they ever spent too.
It's going to be, and a lot of people have towing assistance on their insurance policies. They have it with their vehicle, whatever it might be. So you can utilize those types of resources to get somebody out there to assist you.
Most of the time, I get the feeling though it's about how long it takes you to get somebody out there versus, hey, this guy's here, he could pull me out.
And the thing is that if you call AAA or whatever else, sometimes during these storms it might be 6, 8, and 10 hours before they say they can get to you. If you call 911 and I come, we become the priority. You're gonna be first in line.
Oh. Yeah, and we see that also because the call in, it's a national number. It's going to somebody down in the southern United States where they have no clue where the Fargo-Moorhead area is at. So by the time they can get a call through to find somebody that's a AAA provider, it's going to be a while. So a lot of times what we'll do when we call for that tow, even though they'll bill you. Just turn that bill in or whatever, your receipt later to your insurance company or your provider, and they'll take care of it.
I never thought of that, because that's actually one of the big complaints people have is how long they have to wait, who they have to talk to ahead of time. So if you can get to the point where, hey, the highway patrol is saying, get this car out of here, I would guess you would jump to the front of the list a little bit.
We do. We're the priority for our towing companies that we work with.
Okay, so these two will always be willing to take your calls or your messages. So if you call Laney's News and Views studio line at 1-800-880-5346, or you text to our text club at iConsultants of North Dakota at 35270, they will answer those as well. All you have to do is do one of those two things, and don't sit there and say, well, I always wanted to talk to a highway patrolman. Right now is when you can talk to a highway patrolman. Let's get to the weather cave and find Too Tall Tom Schmanski and find out what's going on in the weather out there. Tom?
Clouds from the valley on east, sunshine further out to the west. There will be variable amounts of cloud cover during the daytime today. Temperatures, big range, 15 northeast to 55 in the southwest. Most of us will be from 20.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports. Too Tall Tom. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270. 603-446. We've got Sergeant Jesse Grabo of the Minnesota State Patrol. Sarge, I'm sorry. Minnesota State Patrol. I almost called you the North Dakota Highway Patrol in my mind, so I got it right? Exactly. Not the Minnesota State Patrol, but Captain Brian Neeman with the North Dakota Highway Patrol. Guys, there's some questions come in by text. One says, what do you do if you test positive for COVID and you get pulled over? How do you warn the officers? My family was positive, but we felt fine, so we went out for a lot of drives, and this conversation come up. I'll go with you, Sarge.
Right. Well, having been in that situation, what we do is just, you just hold your documents up, the license, insurance, we can write it down, go back in our car and check it through our computers and, send you on your way from there.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Just let us know as soon as we approach. Just if you're COVID positive, just let us know, and we'll just kind of go from there. I mean, it's not a huge concern for a lot of our troopers because we're vaccinated, boosted, and we'll still go through the same process we normally do.
So did people ever try using COVID as an excuse to not have the law enforcement come up? I've got COVID.
It comes up a lot of times when you're ready to arrest somebody. They haven't mentioned it prior to any interaction with them, but they'll bring it up once they're about to put handcuffs on.
Right. Now with rapid tests, that can help alleviate some of that.
See, to me, one of the most fun things as a trooper would be is if that person says, well, I have COVID. Well, where'd you come from? The bar. so you didn't care then, right? So you didn't care. Somebody said, what do you know? Joel, can my 15-year-old with a North Dakota driver's license come pick me up at the bar without any restrictions if I wonder if I'm intoxicated?
If they have a driver's license, not a permit, or they have a driver's license, they can come pick you up. But if they'd have a permit, that would be unacceptable. No, you need to have a sober 18 years of age or older driver being with that permitted driver.
What about the Minnesota side?
Minnesota, you get your driver's license at 16, so same thing, would not be able to do it under just a permit operation.
Okay. And probably not the example you might want to set for your child. But, I mean, it's a double whammy. It's like I was being responsible, but yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Somebody asks, do you need to carry insurance on a snowmobile if you plan on using it on trails, lakes, regardless of the value of it? Example, $1,000 sled versus $15,000 sled. That isn't necessarily in your wheelhouse, I'm sure, but...
I'd refer you to the DNR.
Okay.
In North Dakota, if you're riding on any state trails, you have to have insurance.
Okay. No matter what the
value of it is.
Okay, and it's up to you whether you have just liability or whether or not you have...
Just like we would be if you're driving on the roadway.
Joel, in Minnesota, do you have time to prove you have insurance? The boy got a ticket, didn't remember he had proof on his phone.
Right. Well, it's just within the context of the traffic stop. Otherwise, if you do find it later, you just contact the court and they can get that dismissed through that system there.
Okay. How's North Dakota side treat
So
that?
in North Dakota, you can either have an electronic version or a hard copy in the car. If you don't have that, you can be issued a citation, but within 14 days of that citation being issued, if you provide proof to the court, that citation will be dismissed.
My insurance agent is fabulous, and if I text him in about 2 seconds, he would send me proof of insurance. That being said, every 6 months he sends me those cards, and this is going to sound a little braggadocious, but when you own a couple of trailers and you own about 4 or 5 rigs, my wife says about 3 rigs too many, you run around putting them in this rig and that rig and that. I suppose I get a little lazy on it every now and then, but what's if that thing is 6 months late or on the 6 month and a day late, am I going to get taken to the woodshed bad on that?
It really depends upon the traffic stop. So a lot of times our troopers might call that insurance company and just verify that insurance. We might just ask you while we're dealing with our business to verify that insurance while we're dealing with our business. But we have a lot of people that drive with no insurance. So it is a serious violation. Mm-hmm. We have crashes that happen where people are involved and they have no insurance. So it is a violation that we see regularly, and we do issue citations on that. So it's important to have that proof with you. But each traffic stop's a little bit different based off of what information we can get from you on the stop.
I don't know if my insurance agent, who is fabulous, by the way, Lance, thank you. If there's, my guess is they probably even have an app. You'd hit the app and boom, there you'd be pulled up.
Pretty slick, or just take a screenshot of it too and save it in your phone or in your files or something like that. It's actually pretty easy, just because about that time when you're trying to pull it up through your app or whatever, it's not working, you're not getting service, that type of thing. So just having a little screenshot of it always works too.
Or get off your butt and put your certificate in your Ziploc bag you have in every vehicle, right? I keep them both together in my little Ziploc is where I put it. And so I started that with my Harley. Somebody said, how come the troopers never patrol boat ramps? At the end of the day, it's obvious how much alcohol is drank there. Sergeant?
Well, I guess we're out on the highways and whatnot, so I mean, the DNR is probably more around those areas, or some of your sheriff offices, they have water patrol and things like that. But it's just always out on patrol looking for different things, I guess.
Same with us. I mean, we have to find a reason to stop a vehicle. We have to have reasonable suspicion. We can't just sit at a boat ramp and test people as they get off the water. But our game and fish in North Dakota are out there on the water. They're at their boat ramps. They're doing creel studies, all kinds of things at some of our boat ramps in North Dakota.
Okay. I get to ask you guys this one because I don't know if it's because of Roadmaster or what, but in that really bad cold snap that we've gone through, traveling as much as what I do, and I remember going to Bismarck and back in the legislature, you'd see semis pulled over that you knew were gelled up. I mean, you knew they were gelled up, and you'd look at that license plate when you finally got up to it 3/4 of a mile away. You'd see that semi pulled over, and you're like, he's gelled up. And then you'd see the license plate. It was like, yep, the guy from Arkansas didn't know what it was like up here, kind of a thing. You don't seem to see that as much anymore, or am I wrong? I want to know if you guys see that.
We still see plenty of vehicles that gel up, whether it's personal vehicles like pickups or our semis out there. So I mean, we still see them out there. Yeah.
How about Minnesota side? Ah, okay. Well, it just seems to me that. Never mind. Somebody said, "Is there a shortage of troopers out there?" Minnesota side.
Yeah, we're definitely in need of more troopers. I mean, we're in the process of hiring and keeping our academies going, so definitely need good men and women to do the job.
We just graduated 7 last Friday for the North Dakota State Patrol, but we are short about 9. We are starting a new hiring process in March. So if anybody out there is interested in being a state trooper, we are hiring, and we'll put you through all the training you need to become a trooper. You don't need to have law enforcement experience. We'll put you through the training to get you the experience you need to be a successful trooper for the North Dakota Highway Patrol.
I think you guys and everybody. We just had the Fargo Police Chief Zabolski in here, and he was talking about the same thing. They were talking about an academy internally versus the law enforcement academy in North Dakota was out of Bismarck, right? I remember going to a graduation ceremony on that once, and yeah, you all need help.
We do, and the labor market's probably tight in Minnesota. It's the same thing in North Dakota. So there's not a lot of candidates out there just because the labor market's so tight.
Somebody wants to know what's the fine for not carrying car insurance.
So Minnesota, it's a misdemeanor, so it could be up to a $1,000 fine, and then also lose your driver's license. You would become revoked and lose it for a period of time. So it's pretty stiff.
Significant.
$150 for your first violation in North Dakota, $300 for your second violation, and there's some point totals for that as well to accumulate for your driver's license.
So you could potentially lose your driver's license.
Depending upon if you're involved in a crash or not, the point totals are different.
Again, I tell you, they're here for you. Go ahead and call the Laney's News and Views studio line at 1-800-880-5346, or you can text us at iConsultants of North Dakota. That text code is 35270. When we come back, well, they're here for you. Go ahead and give them a call. Ask them any question you want right after this. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michael, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Five, 3, 4, 6, the Laney's News and Views studio line. The troopers are in the house. Sergeant Jesse Grabo with the Minnesota State Patrol and Captain Brian Newin with the North Dakota Highway Patrol. We told you to call. You did. Let's get to it. Ray, you are on with the troopers. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ray.
Yes, I got a question for him. I see, I'm driving down the highway right now. The posted speed limit 70 miles an hour. These people are just flying by me, and you hardly ever see anybody pulled over. I always wondered, why don't they enforce it to the posted speed limit?
Okay.
And I'll just hang on and listen to the radio.
Where you at on
Pardon me? I still didn't follow that question.
where exactly
Barnesville.
Well, I can assure you they're out and about. Can't be everywhere, but we are enforcing it. And even still, to this day, we're still getting several folks. 100 miles an hour is not uncommon even this time of the year yet. So.
Okay. Thanks, Ray. Hope you're driving safe. Let's get to Dan. Dan, you're on with the troopers.
This is for both troopers from both states. And the question is, the federal motor carriers requires people with drive a truck that a certain weight to have reflectors and flares and triangles in their thing for when they break down. Why is it when you see a car broke down and it's dark and you can come up at 70, 60, 75 miles an hour, they're not required to have reflectors out when they're broke down? And I will sit back and listen.
Thank you, Dan.
Is that a state law? Is that a state law or is that a federal law?
Okay.
That is a federal law when it comes to commercial motor vehicles, that type of thing. As a matter of fact, actually, I just did an article on that because somebody asked, an SB Trooper article, somebody asked about if can I have that type of stuff in my personal vehicle, triangles, that type of thing, emergency triangles. I said, well, you sure can. I mean, there's things you should do, but I mean, is it required in passenger vehicles? No, it's not required. It's a federal law for commercial motor vehicles.
And it's the same in North Dakota. We've adopted the federal regulations for commercial motor vehicles. So federal, commercial motor vehicles are required to follow those regulations. When it comes to our passenger cars in North Dakota, there's not a state law requiring that. But we would suggest if you want to carry those, carry them and deploy them if you are broke down.
See, I think he makes a great point, which is, should that be part of the gear you have in your trunk? Should that be part of the gear that you've trained generations into knowing that, hey, I'm broke down by the side of the road? Because where Dan's spot on is you can, in the middle of a dark night in the winter, you can come up on that rig pretty fast.
Yeah, and that's, I guess I'd tell Dan to visit with his local legislators, and maybe that's something that they can pass locally in each state.
I was thinking of this today, you guys, because, the worst for most people is if they don't know the roads, and then all of a sudden those areas at the intersections are full of ice and the other areas aren't. So I'm traveling on this piece of road that road's all clear, but I knew when I got up to the intersection, there's going to be ice there. There's going to be. There always is, right? So I see the school bus going by, and the school bus has that blue light on the top of it. And I'll never forget Elroy Lindis from Mayville, North Dakota, carrying that bill to the floor saying we've got to put lights on top of our school buses. And I thought of Elroy this morning when I saw that. I thought, number one, great law, great bill, great job. And number two, how it's now become, I could see it off in a distance and I knew what it was. So times change. And if some idiot had been going, which I've been idiotic before, had been going too fast towards that intersection timing-wise, it would have been right into that bus, So good when law changes. Guys, here's one for you. How is my wife supposed to know if it's an unmarked car or if someone of questionable character pretending to be an officer trying to pull her over? When I was going through driver's education a long time ago, the sheriff that talked to our class said that would never happen. Things have obviously changed. Sarge?
Well, yeah, certainly we do hear every once in a while have incidents or things like that where somebody does try to impersonate a police officer. So by all means, if you're suspicious, feel free to ask more questions, ask for identification. Even I've been asked in a fully marked squad car and in a full trooper uniform, that type of thing. So feel free to ask for that type of thing. But when in doubt, maybe even call 911 saying, hey, am I being stopped by a legit, law enforcement, squad car here? Because there's not much for lights on it. Even our unmarks for the Minnesota State Patrol have a lot of lights on them. And I'm not saying somebody can't get their hands on these types of things, but still, if you're ever in doubt, call 911 and they can find out real quickly if some law enforcement officer in the area is making a traffic stop.
Same thing in North Dakota. Obviously for our agency, for the North Dakota State Patrol, we all wear a uniform. We're all in a marked squad car, but there are agencies even in North Dakota that have some of the unmarked. But a lot of them are still wearing a uniform. So if you see somebody in an unmarked car, hopefully they're going to get out of that car with a uniform on. But like Sergeant Grabo said, if ask for an ID, if they'll provide that. They should have a badge on them. Obviously everybody's got to wear a badge, and so they should have those things to be able to show you. And last resort, I'd say call 911. But anytime you see those lights, make sure you are pulling over. You don't want to drive for miles and miles and miles just because you don't think it's a legitimate law enforcement officer. Pull over and figure it out on the side of the road. And like I said, if you need to, call 911. All of those 911 calls go through our dispatch locations, and they'll know if there's an officer out working in a specific location because we all have the GPS tracking locators in our patrol cars.
Somebody texts in and says, what's your opinion about law enforcement in the Twin Cities not stopping vehicles for small infractions, like no license tabs? You know they don't carry car insurance. This individual says that's unacceptable in my opinion. It should be illegal to have all windows tinted as well.
Well, I can tell you that Minnesota State Patrol, doesn't matter what part of Minnesota it is, if you're driving with expired registration, you'll still get stopped.
North Dakota?
Same thing here. We stop people for reasonable suspicion, and that could be for any number of reasons. They're a reckless driver, or like Sergeant Grable said, they have a headlight out or their expired registration. We will stop them and investigate what's exactly going on there.
This individual says hazards are put in cars for a reason. Do people use them enough?
They're made to be used if there's an emergency. So if you're broke down on the side of the road, we'd suggest you to put your hazard lights on, just so we know if we're going by that you are having some sort of emergency. People will also use those when they have those low visibility type of weather events. We'd suggest to put those on as well. It just gives people a little extra lighting to be able to see you when they're driving in those low light conditions.
Okay.
I'd say what probably does not get used enough is headlights and taillights, because everybody's got these automatic ones that come on, and if we've got a blizzard going on and it's a middle of the day, your headlights don't automatically come on, because your headlights, the sensor in your car is sensing that there's sunlight even though it's a blizzard, and they don't automatically come on. So if we're having rain events, you're having fog during these daytime events, snow events, make sure you're throwing your headlights on, not just assuming that they're automatically going on.
Yeah. See, I always wonder why not, period. Why auto manufacturers aren't told, to look, every time you're running, taillights and headlights are on, period. Plain and simple. And, the only thing that the driver has to concern themselves with is if they put them on brights, type of a thing, because brights can get you during the day just as well as they can get you at night. But I just always wonder why that's even a question. Turn them on. I mean, what are you going to be out? Someday a bulb, which they're not bulbs anymore anyway, but somebody said, what about state law, 2 license plates, one in the front and one in the back? Minnesota and North Dakota both have 2 license plate laws yet. Yeah. Somebody says, how come the troopers keep all their emergency spotlights on when they pull someone over at dark? It's blinding when you pass them at night. Captain?
We have overhead lights. We have a spotlight as well. We shine in the car. Number one is for our safety, so we can see what's going on in that car prior to us approaching. And it also helps us when we're up there be able to see what's going on in the car as well. It's all for the safety of the officer and the motorist that we have stopped. And yes, it can be blinding, but anytime you see any type of emergency lights, you should be slowing down and safely passing that, whether you're meeting somebody or you're going to be going in the opposite direction.
Well, I would add this as an advocate. If that's your biggest problem, I mean, you guys are in a tough spot at that point. Having a little extra light, that draws attention, good.
And we never know what we're walking up on, right? I mean, every traffic stop is different. You never know what you're walking up on. So to make those as safe as possible, we have those extra lights.
And I will add this. I think that we've gotten way too lenient on tinted windows. If I were back in one of those chairs in the Capitol, we'd be having a serious talk about the tint. I think you guys potentially are walking into trouble. It's taking away a big advantage that you have when you pull somebody over and the windows are that tinted. I know you don't talk about proposed legislation and you don't vote, but I'm just telling you as a former senator, I think that we've gone way too far in how tinted we allow vehicles to be. Paul, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, good morning. I have a question about truckers, semi-trucks, and responsibility or liability when they shred a tire on the interstate.
That's a great question.
So anytime that a truck is going down the roadway, and if they realize that they've shredded a tire, they need to stop, because that truck might be out of service, considered out of service, and they need to have that fixed. Sometimes they might need to drive to get to someplace safe, the park, to get off the roadway. But we'd suggest anytime that somebody has a flat tire or that tire is starting to shred on the vehicle, they immediately pull over and stop and get that fixed. When it comes to liability, if we can trace that back, let's say a tire comes off a vehicle and we know somebody's hit that, we will find that trucker and we will do a crash report for that, because it is a crash. If I strike something on the roadway and it causes damage to my vehicle, whether that's something fell off of a truck, I hit a deer, I hit another car, whatever else, those are crashes, and we will do a crash report for that.
How about the Minnesota side? Okay. Paul, did you get your answer?
I did. I followed a semi down the interstate one time, and I could hear his tire getting loose, so I backed off, and I followed him for 2 miles, and he shredded tires for 2 miles, and I watched a chunk about 10 inches big fly up and land in the oncoming lane on the other side of the interstate. That could have certainly gone through a windshield. And he didn't slow down. He didn't stop. He had to know what was happening.
And, it is dangerous for those tires to come off those vehicles. We've seen crashes happen. There was a trooper just killed in 2021 up in the northeast part of the United States where a tire came off of a vehicle and actually hit him while he was out dealing with another motorist. So they are very, very dangerous. And so if you do see that, you can call 911 and we'll respond and we'll actually get that truck stopped so we can make sure it's safe for other motorists to be on the roadway.
So here's the scenario. You've got a trucker that threw a retread quarter mile back, half mile back. He picks up on the fact he did it. Now he's way ahead. Even if he pulls over on the side of the road, you don't want him walking back to get that off the road, do you?
I mean, if the visibility is good, it's not an issue. Obviously, if it's dark or if the visibility is bad, I'd say no. But they should call somebody so we can respond. I mean, we're pulling gators off the roadway all the time, right? So just call us to let us know there's a hazard out there, whether you're driving by it or you're the person that caused it, so we can respond and get that removed.
How about in Minnesota? You want them to walk back, or?
If they can't otherwise call, let us know when we'll come up.
So same type of theory. Use your brains is what you're saying. All right, let's get to the weather cave and visit with Too Tall Tom Schmanski and get our weather forecast. Tom?
Clouds from the valley on eastward and also into east.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too Tall Tom
Joel
Schmanski.
Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
I'm gonna let you guys answer that.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Hold on. Go ahead.
In Minnesota is you can have a radar detector in a passenger vehicle. Commercial vehicles, they are not allowed. That's I believe that's a federal law. And
how about you, Captain?
It's the same in North Dakota.
Okay. To me, we got something on here, Amy. To me, some of what seems to be going on when it comes to people out there on the roadways and byways is they're complaining a lot about the new technology. I mean, you guys are going to have ways of knowing how bad somebody's speeding without even having a trooper in a specific area, and everybody knows that. And so the question is how are people responding to it, Captain?
Yeah, and it's going to be what do our legislators do for some of that stuff, some of that technology that's going to come down the pipe as well. Because, you know, there's places in the country where they have speed cameras, they've got, you know, red light cameras and stuff, and areas where there's enforcement action taken on that. And there are states where that's completely outlawed as well. So I think you're going to see as more technology is developed with vehicles and how we can monitor things, it's going to be changing throughout the United States with the different bills that are passed in different legislators.
How about Minnesota?
Tell you what, technology is a game changer. It really is. Yeah.
I mean, it's going to, you know, I got a ticket by the mail one time, you know, and it comes in and I'm like, how did, you know, next thing you know, I see a picture of myself with my license plate and it had a speed on it. And next thing you know, I was writing a checkout. You know, I don't know how I can argue with it.
I think there's a lot of the study going on right now because you talk about like autonomous vehicles. That's a big push right now, autonomous vehicles. Well, there's a lot of Fourth Amendment or rights that people have that if we have autonomous vehicles, how much information can law enforcement have where it's not violating your rights?
Right.
Okay.
You know, that's interesting. You talk about how you get the picture in the mail. Did you send him a picture of the money then? I heard a guy that did that, and they ended up sending him a picture of the handcuffs. So
I can tell you this: a friend of mine that I was telling this to, it was not me. He made a special envelope to put the check in that tried to send a clear message of what he thought of that ticket. I'm just saying, you can draw the picture yourself, folks. You guys always, give people access to you. I thank you for that, Jesse. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
And Brian as well.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it says a lot about both the patrols, the fact that the public can get to them and talk to them and the people they serve. When we come back, he's a state representative right now. Rick Becker's running against John Hoeven. He comes up next.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see from It Takes Two? Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. The hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working there.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy, 9 degrees. It's 10 o'clock today, a high of 26. I'll get you the rest of the KFGO Weather Center forecast after KFGO News. Bismarck Republican State Representative Rick Becker is running for the GOP nomination for U.S. Senate. He served in the state legislature since 2013, but announced he would not be seeking another legislative term. He announced in a video on social media.
While many claim to be conservative, my actions have always backed up my words. Numerous rankings consistently place me in the 90 to 100% range for conservative and pro-liberty votes. In fact, just this month, I was awarded the only 100% rating in North Dakota by the American Conservative Union.
Becker is challenging incumbent Senator John Hoeven, who was first elected in 2010. Federal trial of 3 former Minneapolis police officers charged with violating George Floyd's rights is expected to resume after it was paused because one of the defendants tested positive for COVID. Court never said which defendant it was, but Alexander Kung and Tu Tao were in court that day, and trial was stopped, and Thomas Lane was not. Trial will resume today. A host of Twin Cities suburbs are looking to enact local sales taxes to help maintain and upgrade aging public amenities like community centers, ice rinks, and city buildings. About a dozen cities, including Edina, Bloomington, Golden Valley, Roseville, and Brooklyn Center, are looking to enact a new sales tax on top of the 6.9 sales tax the state already collects to pay for capital projects. Local sales taxes can vary, but they typically amount to a half-cent. Suburbs would need to get approval from the legislature, and voters would have to approve the tax for a specific project. University of South Dakota student has nailed the shot of a lifetime.
She's going to get a running start. She's at the three-point line, okay? Opposite side. So here we go. Let's see what she does. Stutter step, lifts it. It's got the distance. Oh, my God, she made it! She banked it in! Are you kidding me?
USD student Mary Margaret Borer hit the half-court shot at halftime. South Dakota State 89-79 win over South Dakota at Sanford Coyote Sports Center on Saturday. That shot won her $10,000. The KFGO Weather Center forecast from meteorologist Tom Schmanski. Today we'll see partly sunny skies, high of 26. Tonight, steady or slowly rising temperature, partly cloudy and breezy. Tomorrow, jump to a high of 36, but Too Tall Times is expecting light snow showers, possibly mixed with light rain showers. Wednesday, high of 25, partly to mostly cloudy. Thursday, high of 34, mostly cloudy and windy. Chance for light snow and light rain. Friday, morning high of 20, mostly cloudy and windy. Scattered snow showers. Madison Quinn, KFGO News.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Too Tall Times. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful.
I knew that there was a potential someday of Representative Rick Becker taking the more conservative philosophy of the Republican Party out for a walk on its statewide ballot again. I didn't see him running in the primary against now incumbent Senator John Hoeven for that Republican slot on the ticket in the fall, and he announced he is head of the Bastiat Caucus. Rick Becker joins us right now. Representative, good to have you on News and Views.
Thanks, Joel.
The obvious question is why?
Well, I decided to retire from the state legislature as a separate decision, really. And once I made that a determination, then I wanted to assess, okay, is this now a good time to try and exactly what you said, bring my conservative principles to a statewide race. And John Hoeven is perceived to be, formidable. However, he's never had, since his first election in 2010, never had a Republican that he's run against. And the mood of the state, certainly the mood of the country, has changed a lot since then. And what I was looking at is I think it is time that we have someone with different philosophy. John Hoeven, when he was governor, he really set the tone and the pace for what we saw throughout his 10 years. And then with Governor Dalrymple after that, a very big government type of Republican philosophy, where big spending, big subsidies, big programs, things like that. And, when I look at his track record on spending, as a senator, and most recently being one of the 19 Republicans to vote for Biden's infrastructure bill, I think that it's time.
So, had you been in one of those seats, Bill?
Absolutely not. I can say that 100% assuredly.
Okay. Do you believe that John Hoeven, as governor, was a good steward of North Dakota's resources?
That's interesting. I will say that he spent far too much and didn't take the opportunity of a suddenly new significant incoming revenue to decrease taxes and be more frugal in that manner, and instead had the opportunity then with more revenue to do more things, government things. And as you know, he was very, very big on the whole ethanol subsidy program.
So you don't feel that the state should be putting any money towards the ethanol industry?
That's correct.
Do you feel the state puts too much money towards the oil industry?
I don't think the state should be putting money to any industry, period.
Okay.
Now,
what about some of the risk that the state took on in the coal industry for individuals who spend nothing and gain everything? That's my bias. But, I mean, what do you think about what the state did, and the conservatives, quite frankly, did for the coal industry?
Well, it depends on how far back you go. I think that
some of the conservatives have voted for things that maybe on their face definitely are not in line with being conservative, but sometimes I think that there's discussion on trying to counter what government previously did for competitors to the coal industry. And so it's a bit of a difficulty, because if government was improperly doing things one way, do you then improperly do it the other way to even things out? Do two wrongs make a right? I think a lot of times they don't. But I understand why, for some Republicans, their votes may not have seemed entirely conservative.
Every candidate for the United States Senate is going to get asked this, and you're a pretty bright man, so you were going to get asked it. Do you support Donald Trump?
Yeah, I support Donald Trump, but here's the thing. I'm going to give the caveat, but I said it. I'll give you a straight answer first. What does it mean to support Donald Trump? We can say that about Joe Biden. Do you support Joe Biden? Well, what aspect? What program? Do I support Donald Trump 100% in everything he does and says? No, never did. And in fact, if you look on Facebook, I've not been shouting to the rooftops about Donald Trump. However, he did some amazing things in cutting regulation, in cutting taxes, in getting judges on the court that will follow the Constitution as intended and written. So he's done phenomenal things. But right from the get-go, I was disagreeing with things like tariffs, and I personally was not a fan of his bombastic tendencies on Twitter. But overall, you bet I support him. So
do you believe that Donald Trump played any role whatsoever in what happened January 6th?
No.
None whatsoever?
Well, again, none whatsoever. Did probably a small group of people become energized by this whole concept of declaring the election a fraud? You bet. Is Donald Trump responsible for the actions they then took? No. Did he incite them? No. No, he didn't.
Do you believe the election was a fraud?
Well, I don't think anyone knows, to be honest with you. There are several states where there's some questions, and then the courts didn't see that there was standing to I guess, have a lawsuit. I think what we need to do is make sure that all of the states have full transparency moving forward, because I don't know that anyone on either side of that little question knows for sure. It's impossible to know.
Well, let's use Arizona as an example. Representative Becker, Arizona, there was 2 recounts. There was still a disagreement in regards to whether or not this certain area of Arizona actually was recounted properly. The Trump team sent their own people in to conduct the recount. There was a lot of people on my side of the aisle said that, that this is just a setup. They're going to find what they went down there to look for no matter what they find, when in fact I was wrong. They came out and fully admitted that the count was right, even though this was a partisan group. And yet many from your side of the aisle kept saying that Arizona was a stolen election. You say we don't know what the truth is. How can we not know what the truth is?
Well, as I mentioned, there were several lawsuits that were not heard. And so I don't know how you can say you know what the truth is, because, you're not in each state knowing exactly what it is. And I'm not contending it. From the get-go, people were kind of jazzed and saying, hey, we have to get recounts and redo this. And in my mind, it was a done deal. It was never going to happen. And what I want to look to is moving forward and securing the elections, making sure, as they say, every legal vote counts, and not a single vote more than that.
But Representative Becker,
I'm looking forward. What the other states have done and with recounts and all that, I've never had much interest in that, because it's just not going to lead anywhere.
Let me push back on that a little bit, though. You say, sure, I'm looking forward. That the person that you just said you support is an individual that isn't looking forward at all. He's holding rallies out there constantly saying that the election was stolen. You didn't see Al Gore do that. You didn't see, the other side of the aisle, or quite frankly, both sides of the aisle do that in the past. And so how can a country move forward when this incredibly popular amongst your side of the aisle, and when I say your side of that aisle doesn't admit the election was over, is over, and is in fact was run legally. I mean, it'll never get over until there's an admission of defeat.
Well, yeah, I can say I'm looking forward. You asked me if I supported Donald Trump, and my answer was yes. And I clarified my answer was based on a lot of the really good things he did. And if you understand did, it's past tense. I am looking forward. So, the I guess, obsession with Donald Trump is much more on your side of the aisle than it is on mine.
Well, the reason, Rick, that I'm asking you about Donald Trump so much, because he's not the one in the race against John Hoeven. You are. But the reason exactly. I bring it up is because you have more of a similar political philosophy than what John Hoeven does with Donald Trump. And I don't think anyone can dispute that. And so to win this race against John, if I were your campaign manager, I would have you calling down to Mar-a-Lago and saying, look, I'm your guy. I want your support. And so I guess I'm asking the question in a wrong way. Will you seek the endorsement and the support of Donald Trump?
Hey, listen, if the Donald wants to support me and endorse me, I'm happy to have his endorsement.
Okay. Will you seek it out?
You know what? That question hasn't come up with my campaign.
It just did. It just did.
Well, then I'll give it some good thought, Joel, and you'll be the first I'll let know.
Okay, appreciate that. I also want to know what it's going to be like to run against someone that never answers a question. And I'm going to say this to you. You and I have tangled horns. We've locked horns before. And you just gave me an honest no answer. Right? You said, I'm not going to answer it. I'll tell you first. I get that. But with John Hoeven, I can ask him the same question 20 times and he won't answer it. And so I don't know how you take on a man like that. And I want you to consider that. When we come back, I want to give you a chance to answer to that. Okay? Because I think it makes it very tough to be an insurgent candidate against him. But first, let's head to the weather cave and find Too Tall Tom Schmanski.
Clouds from the valley on eastward, some sunshine out west with some high clouds moving on in. Temperatures today, huge range, as is almost always the case at this time of the year. Mid to upper teens north and east to 50 or slightly better as you go in the far west and southwest. Most of us will be somewhere in the 25 to 45 range, which in and of itself is a big range too. Overnight tonight, steady or slowly rising temps, single numbers north and east to around the freezing point south and west. And 28 to 48 tomorrow. Most of us will be in the 30s. There will be a chance for a little bit of light snow, maybe some light mixed precip in the north tonight. And tomorrow, there will be a chance for some light rain, light snow shower activity, maybe a light mixed bag, mainly in the north. But even there, the chances are not overly impressive. It won't be a storm or anything. But there will be rather gusty wind out of the west-northwest setting up during the daytime tomorrow, bringing in some milder temperatures before it cools off a bit on Wednesday with maybe a few flurries here and there, but nothing much more than that. Currently, it's still slow to warm up in many areas. Minneapolis 4, 9 in Duluth, Badette at 7, Fergus Falls 12, Park Rapids 5, and Thief River Falls is 10. Watertown, South Dakota 20, 28 in Aberdeen, Mobridge 39, Rapid City 47, Bowman's at 40, Williston 30, right now Minot 34, and in Bismarck it's 33 degrees, Devils Lake 13, and right now Langdon's at 10, Jamestown 24, and Waupun and Breckenridge is 12. It's 9 in Grand Forks and 10 in Fargo. Too tallest town of the day is Felton, Minnesota, where it's 9. I'm meteorologist Tom Schmanski from the News and Views Regional Weather Cave.
Thank you, Tom. The cruiser is sponsored by the North Dakota Farmers Union, the North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives, Pfeiffer's Auction, Realty and Land Management, Nielsen Brand Law, and Broadband Association of North Dakota. I'm going to head to the ranch and visit with one half of the outstanding young farmers of the year nationally, and that's Sarah Heinrich. Sarah, what's going on in the markets?
We're seeing some nice gains right now in the grain markets. We are in the green with March corn up 13.5 at 6.34. December at 5.81, up 7 1/4. March wheat climbs 4 1/4 at 9.17, while September's at 8.87, up 6 1/4. In the soybean market, nice double-digit gains. March soybeans up 31 1/4 at 15.85. New crop November at 14.21, 25.5 cents higher. We are mixed in the cattle market. March feeder cattle $1.05 higher, while April live cattle are up a dime at $146.98. And for April lean hogs, we're up $2.28 at $102.35. With your markets, I'm Farm and Ranch Director Sarah Heinrich for the News and Views Radio Network from the Enterprise Sales Ag Studio. Enterprise Sales of Ellie City, your grain handling and storage experts.
I want to make sure we get to Steve Waswick with Bergstrom Electric. Steve, a lot of things going on out there, not the least of which is a cold snap, but there's still going to be work done this spring. Can people get their bid items to you?
Perfect time to come into our design center and get things priced up, designed, and everything locked in and get our contracts going. So we're ready to go as soon as the ground breaks free.
Steve, do you have the people? I mean, could you hire a couple more electricians?
Absolutely. You know, we have 100 strong, and you know what? We're always looking for that right person to fit the Bergstrom family.
Well, and the family you've got is a pretty doggone good family. Steve, a lot of trouble through the cold snap. Anything you had to worry about there?
You know, typical things, you know, some lights not working on some parking lots, some heaters going down, but everything we were able to get back up and running and keep everybody warm and safe.
All right, get to Bergstrom Electric where the light does shine brighter.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. You know, we don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. You know, and all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. You know, that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. JJ Gordon from It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
fair question. As much as I would have, if I was in John Hoven's situation, would have actually voted against those funds, there are a lot of things that we run into where we have to approach it the same way, whether it's subsidies on ethanol, whether it's sending the kids to public school. The thing is, we have to work within the way the system is now. And for a conservative to say, well, I don't think government should be spending my taxpayer dollars on A, B, C, and D. However, there's no choice. The federal government is going to be spending it on A, B, C, and D. D happens to be one where you actually, shockingly, get some money back. And I think it's foolish to say no to that. It puts
should you have gotten the money back? Should the federal government have given you the money back?
The federal government should not have had the PPP program at all. I mean, they sent billions of dollars overseas. They lost billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars to fake companies. It was horribly run. It was horribly conceived.
Time's going to get me, Rick, and you do media, so you know how this works. But I've got about a minute left here. Will you be allowed to continue your television show?
Yes. To whatever degree Beck is willing to give John Hoven equal time, I can continue.
Okay, and that is the point. I mean, I've been through it myself. If you get an hour of TV a day, then the Hoven camp can have an hour of TV a day on that same network, right? That's the rule. Right. Okay.
Yep.
How do you get someone to answer a question that you're going to debate who doesn't really answer the question like John Hoven? 30 seconds. Go.
All right. Well, he may not answer the questions, but he has a record. And for the first time in a long time, he has someone questioning the record. And we look at various organizations, national organizations that give ratings, and John Hoven has done very poorly from a conservative standpoint and really horribly from a budget, taxes, and spending standpoint. So he doesn't need to answer the questions if he doesn't want to, because others have answered those questions.
Have you set up any contact information in terms of a Facebook page, a website, any place where people can get active in your campaign?
Yes, Joel, thanks for asking. It's rickbecker2022.com, rickbecker2022.com. We're also on Facebook under Dr. Rick Becker.
Okay. Thank you for the access, Rick, and I'm sure we'll do this again.
Sounds good. Thank you, Joel.
You bet. Rick Becker, ladies and gentlemen. He'll make it interesting. You can say, was he hypocritical about the PPP? I would say yes. But is he willing to sit there and take the question and answer it? Then it's up to me whether I like the answer or not. It's going to be up to you. I can tell you this. I think it's going to make John Hoven a better politician. At least somebody who, and the reason I asked the question about how do you make someone answer a question is I've seen John Hoven in politics since 2000, and I've really yet to see what he's for. So maybe this will flush out some of that. We'll see. Your calls when we get back. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
JJ
Gordon from It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
Representative Rick Becker of Bismarck says he's running for the nomination for U.S. Senate. He served in the legislature since 2013. He announced he would not be seeking another legislative term recently. He made his announcement in a video on social media and on KFGO News and Views.
While many claim to be conservative, my actions have always backed up my words. Numerous rankings consistently place me in the 90 to 100% range for conservative and pro-liberty votes. In fact, just this month, I was awarded the only 100% rating in North Dakota by the American Conservative Union.
Becker says he'll challenge Senator John Hoeven, who was first elected to the U.S. Senate in 2010. A lung specialist is testifying at the federal trial of 3 former Minneapolis police officers charged with violating George Floyd's rights. Dr. David Systrom of Boston is the second medical expert called to testify by prosecutors. The St. Paul trial resumed after being abruptly suspended last week when one of the 3 tested positive for COVID-19. Advocates continue to call for change in the aftermath of the Minneapolis police shooting and killing of Amir Locke. Hundreds took to the streets downtown over the weekend. They called for justice.
We've been campaigning for community control of the police for a few years now, and I think that for us that demand is becoming more and more urgent, that it's clear that the people that are in charge of the police department, namely the mayor's office, are not able to control the police.
Jay Yates is with the group Justice for Jamar. Locke was shot and killed while asleep. He was holding a gun during a police raid last week. Since then, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fries announced a ban on almost all no-knock warrants, except in cases of imminent danger. The University of South Dakota student has nailed the shot of a lifetime. Mary Boer hit a half-court shot at halftime of South Dakota State's 89-79 win over South Dakota at Sanford Coyote Sports Center. The shot won her $10,000. Boer started running toward the three-point line and released the ball several steps over the half-court line. The ball banked off the glass and went in. KFGO Weather Center forecast from meteorologist Tom Schmanski. Partly sunny today, our high near 26 this afternoon. Some clouds overnight, steady or slowly rising temperatures on our way to about 36 for the high tomorrow. Increasing clouds, a windy day with a chance of light snow, maybe mixed with some light rain showers. Wednesday, high of 25, likely in the morning, partly to mostly cloudy. Thursday, mostly cloudy, windy, chance of light snow and or light rain. And Thursday's high 34. Fargo-Moorhead, again, it is partly sunny and 10. Paul Jerkins, News Radio, KFGO.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave any.
Welcome back to the News and Views Radio Network. If you're just joining us, we had Representative Rick Becker on. He is running in the primary, and I should have asked him that, but time was limited. Why the primary? I think I can answer it for him, which is he's running against John Hoeven in the primary to get the Republican seat to run for the United States Senate in the fall against whoever that Democratic candidate is. Now, understand that the reason you would take to the primary is because it's proven to work. Kevin Cramer couldn't get the nomination from the Republican Party. He went directly to the primary. He had better name ID. He won. Doug Burgum couldn't get the nomination at the party. So he took Wayne Stengham on at the primary, where after Wayne was endorsed by the Republican Party, and he won. He had more money. Rick Becker is going to take John Hoeven on in the primary. Why? You're going to say, well, Hoeven's got better name ID and he's got more money. Rick is much firmer in making sure people know what his positions are. I mean, you can say anything you want. Here's why John Hoeven wins so big. Ready? I don't dislike him. I mean, I think he's kind of quicksand when it comes to his positions. There's no solid ground there. There's no, boy, he believes this. I can always count on him for that. That's not who John Hoeven is. I get what Becker's talking about with that. I like someone who with a more spirited passion for public service than, boy, I want the job, kind of a, look at the title kind of a position. I don't ever hear John Hoeven come out and just passionately take on something that's going to make a difference. That isn't the type of politician he is. He's a janitor. I mean, he's a janitor. He keeps the house clean. He keeps the plumbing working. He's somebody who tells the board when the shingles are falling off. He's a janitor. He's not ever going to be put down as a visionary when it comes to politics. Now, Becker, he's no janitor, right? He's got his passions. He believes certain things. He believes that it should be A, B, or C. It was wise to ask him the PPP question because is he being a hypocrite? You can't stand against government and then take government money. Right? I do this with my farmer buddies all the time. You can't sit there and completely complain about the federal government while you take that farm payment and federal subsidized crop insurance and everything else all the time. And then instantly come back with, well, it's a food policy. No, let's just be honest. It's not exactly capitalism in its purest form. Is it good for our area? You bet it is. Send more. But then don't bitch about the federal government. Now, let me take it to the Becker side. How does he, with less money and less popularity, how does he do this? How is he able to do this? Well, the only way he's willing to do this is the way he just did, which is to do as much media as he can, let people hear him as much as he can, and every now and then he's going to get responses like this. Someone said, Joel, now with Becker in the mix, I may have to go to the convention to support Hoeven. Good grief. Another one. I will never support Becker, but I believe he answered every question truthfully without double speak. I respect that. Boom. There. Okay. Also, if you want yours to get read on air, don't go throwing the F-bomb in it. Okay? I'm just telling you right now, and I can tell you the phone number if you want, but I think you know. Becker is a referendum on the Constitution and not in a good American way. Joel, the janitors actually get stuff done out of the limelight and behind the scenes. All right, well, I'll challenge you on that. What did John Hoeven get done? I mean, John Hoeven's tenure as governor was one that was completely set up by Bud Center taking us through the toughest time you possibly could economically in this nation in an ag state. I mean, Bud Center will go down, in my opinion, as one of the greatest governors ever. And then you had a state, because of that terrible farm economy, in a position where Ed Schaefer had to cut back, do what he could. And I think Ed Schaefer left the keys in pretty doggone good shape. And then John Hoeven came in as a janitor, and he rode the wave, baby. I mean, he rode the wave. And then right about the time that 2007, 2008 happened, and let's be honest, John Hoeven is in the banking field. What blew up the economy? It was the housing market, right? What completely changed things in this country in how we do things? It was the bankers. It was the bankers that we had to bail out. And yet none of that sticks. The guy's walking Teflon. I mean, he really is. He's walking Teflon. It's not going to stick. Becker's not going to win this race. But if he does win this race, he's going to have to throw some bombs. He's going to have to state specifics. He's going to have to come out and say, listen, this is what John Hoeven did. This is where I do things differently. This is what this is all about. That's what he's going to have to do. Joel, only thing that might get my vote for Becker is what he'd do for farm policies. So, and there's some of that out there, folks, believe me. Steve, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, yeah. Good morning, Joel.
Morning.
Yeah, I just got a short little question. I was listening to your program 5 minutes ago. You asked a question to Becker about why he took these government loans, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm asking you, did he just sidestep your question? I never did. Did he really answer that, or did he just?
Well, here's how I took his answer. If you think he answered differently, you let me know. Here, he said, look, he doesn't believe the PPP loans are out there, but he paid tax money into the nation, and that became the nation's policy. And so then he, I don't want to say took advantage of, but utilized the nation's policy. That's how I took his answer, Steve.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that guy. I mean, just because it's our policy, do we have? Is it an automatic? We take it?
Yeah. Well, and
You know?
here the answer is no, Steve. You're right. You don't have to. You don't have to. Right. So great point. I mention that to farmers all the time. Here's another thing to keep in mind with Rick Becker. What he just said there was he was very much against John Hoeven voting for the infrastructure bill. I applauded and supported John Hoeven voting for the infrastructure bill. He didn't work on it. He didn't pay any political price until now for it. I mean, there was no work whatsoever done on it. He just piggybacked on what Donald Trump or Joe Biden did. You know, he got an infrastructure package through. So I like the fact that Becker's challenging him on it, but I like the fact that Hoeven voted for it. Does that make any sense? I mean, I like the fact that for the first time ever, John Hoeven's going to have to answer some questions. He still won't, because the poll numbers today probably show him ahead 90-10. But he didn't wake up this morning feeling as good as what he woke up last Monday morning. He didn't. He didn't wake up thinking, yeah, everybody loves me. I got it made. And, you know, the Democrats won't get anybody that can get more than 30% against me. And this is a shoe. And I got 6 more years. I get to hang out and do what I want. And, you know, he probably still is fairly confident that can happen. But he's going to have to work a little bit for it now in his own party. He's going to get challenged a little bit in his own party. And I've been saying this for a number of years now, that when you get a super majority, you end up becoming easily 2 parties. And when you become 2 parties, that minority party becomes an aggressive minority party. And Rick Becker, I don't know if he is the minority anymore. I mean, I don't. All right, you've got the North Dakota Farm Bureau with Darrell Lies going out, holding public meetings with a guy named Trent Luce. Trent Luce is coming in all colored up with the bandana, the whole shebang, Mr. Cowboy, right? If you do the Google on Trent Luce, what are you going to find? You're going to find a criminal record. You're going to find a case made about cattle, and cattle not being his cattle, right? But the North Dakota Farm Bureau, the Farm Bureau, one of when I was growing up, the Farm Bureau was one of the most respected farm organizations out there. Instead of insurance agents wanting to flock away, they were flocking towards them. Now they're flocking away. They don't want to work with the leadership that Darrell Lies has put in place. They don't want to be part of it. And so what do then? You take that out and you talk to the extremists, right? Next thing you know, you got a sheriff in Bowman County saying he's the constitutional sheriff and he'll deputize anybody. You don't speak directly to whatever policy you're arguing about, because if you do, then you're going to have to show some level of intellect on it, right? You're going to have to actually know some details on it. And you're going to have to debate those policies and details. Instead, you grab a Trent Luce and you hope they don't do the Google on his record. You hope they don't look at what his history has been in other states, but he sure looks pretty when he walks in the room, right? In Western North Dakota, by God, he's a cowboy man. He's got a radio show, and he's got a TV show, and heaven forbid you'd actually dig into the heart and soul of what this man is, and you put him on a podium right next to the North Dakota Farm Bureau, and supposedly now you have credibility, right? Now you've used the name of a great farm organization in the past that generations had built up for a strict far right-wing ideology like Darrell Lise has. And so he gets to use all those membership dollars, a bunch of the insurance dollars, and gets to run around telling you that the government is taking your land, inciting riots, inciting deputizing citizens, inciting people walking out the door, kicking the door open. Oh, my God, the government, go home, honey, see if the lights are still on. That's what they want you to believe. That's the goal, right? And all you got to do is dress up pretty and use a North Dakota Farm Bureau sign, and you got credibility. Do the Google. You might find out who some of these folks are. Let's get to the weather cave and visit with Too Tall Tom Schmanski. What do you got going on there, Tom?
Clouds from the valley on east, moving out. Otherwise, plenty of sun, a few high clouds otherwise. And temperatures, huge range as usual. Mid to upper teens northeast for predicted highs to around 50 to 55 in the far west and southwest. Most of us will be somewhere in the 25 to 45 degree range, but altogether are not a bad way to start off the week. Steady or slowly rising temps tonight, single numbers far northeast to around the freezing point as you go farther west and southwest. Most of us will probably be somewhere in the teens to near 20. And tomorrow, 28 to 48, another nice day. It could be a rather strong west-northwest wind developing across areas from western Minnesota westward into the Dakotas as a trough moves on through, and maybe some very light rain and or snow showers popping up here and there along that trough as it moves eastward, turning a little bit cooler with a gusty wind once again on Wednesday. Right now, 4 degrees Minneapolis, Alexandria 8, currently 9 degrees in Duluth, 10 in Detroit Lakes, and also 10 in Halleck. Sisseton, South Dakota 12, Aberdeen's at 28, Pierre 43, Mobridge 39, Dickinson's at 40 degrees, Williston 30, 34 in Minot, Bismarck 33, 13 in Devils Lake, Grafton 12, Grand Forks right now is at 9, 10 in Wahpeton, also 10 in Fargo, two tallest town of the day, Felton, Minnesota 12. I'm meteorologist Tom Schmanski from the News and Views Regional Weather Cave.
Somebody saying Joel Wilhoven was a Democrat, correct? Yes, he was. John came out as a Democrat. He is, first and foremost, he is a political opportunist. When he saw it was easier to win as a Republican, he quickly became a Republican. Another one, text message comes in at our iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club, says, Joel, Farm Bureau doesn't have the interest of North Dakota farmers at heart. Let me ask you this. What are you doing about it? I mean, why does Darrell Lise, why does he get all that money and get the chance to go around and stir up all that trouble surrounded by an individual with a criminal record? I mean, why? Why does Darrell get to play politics with your North Dakota Farm Bureau? I don't know. I know this. I get more calls about him and how he actually farms and everything that goes with it than anybody I know. Anybody I know. All right, when we come back, your time on the phone lines, 1-800-880-5346. The Cruiser is sponsored by the North Dakota Farmers Union, North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives, Pifers, Auction, Realty, Land Management, Nielsen Brand Law, and Broadband Association of North Dakota.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
JJ
Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the
morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall, Tom
Joel
Schmanski.
Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
In our text club brought to you by Consultants of North Dakota, Joel, where are the Democrats? We need to get rid of all these spineless Republicans. It goes to how you define, right? I mean, how do you define? People get mad at me if I don't say I'm a liberal. Well, okay, I call myself progressive. I can call myself liberal in a state like this, but on the East Coast and the West Coast, I wouldn't qualify as a liberal, right? So how do you define? If I went on the East Coast and went to AOC or whoever and said I own 22 guns, they'd look at me like I'm nuts in the head, right? They don't understand who we are in our culture. That being said, I supported PPP. I supported the infrastructure bill. I believe that the government should look at employees and ask themselves, what can we do in the area of daycare? How can we help facilitate it? How can we invest in it? I think those are absolutely great ideas. And I want to share this with you about employees and employers, right? I read this morning, and it said, business. Right now, manufacturing business, many businesses complaining about labor shortages, right? We don't have the workers. Well, here's the thing, folks. You folks that believe people are too lazy, that gig's up. Unemployment's out for a lot of these people. They have no money if they're not back to work, and they're not coming back to work at some of these places. So, this person put this out there that said after 40 years of downsizing, right-sizing, restructuring, outsourcing, mergers, jobs sent overseas, automation, on-call scheduling, and converting employees to independent contractors. Do I need to read those again? Those are all terms we became very familiar with, right? right-sizing, restructuring, downsizing, outsourcing, mergers, jobs that went overseas, automation, on-call scheduling, and converting employees to independent contractors. Isn't it amazing that these employees aren't there waiting for you? That they've moved on with their life and they've decided to go a different road? I mean, that wasn't just a family, these people that you worked with. The companies that still have their workers are companies that treated them like they were part of a business family, a family. The people that are sitting here desperate for employees on a big scale level, I'm talking about a high scale level right now. I'm talking about some of the biggest companies in this nation that normally could easily get that full-time employee. Those individuals all use terms like the ones I just described. And now they're looking in the mirror. Good riding with you, folks.